It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show. Hi, everybody. Another great Sunday evening for us to join together and, talk about the events of the past week. All the fun and hijinks and, dare I say, shenanigans or two that go on while we try to, go through our lives. Every week it gets crazier. And I say that every week. But it truly does. Every week you seem to go, wow, I thought last week was crazy. But, that's what it is. That's our little world that we live in. And if you want to contribute to this very program, you can do that. You could give a call, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222, or on X. My account on X is Anthony Cumia. So if you're on social media on X, just comment under the last post I popped up there, and I scroll through that during breaks. And if anything of interest pops up, I will yap about it right here on this program. When I say things are crazy, and they get crazier every week, I specifically, I'm talking about stories like this Lindsey Clancy thing. Oh, boy. I know people have their opinions on this one. Wowie and kazowie. Because here's a woman. She murdered her 3 kids. It is a terrible, terrible story, especially if you aren't faint of heart and you're able to read the details of the murders. I will not get into those on this program. It is horrifying, very tragic, and there seems to be a situation here where women are supporting this woman. Yes, Lindsey Clancy seems to be the hero du jour with the mentally ill crowd of mostly liberal women. You know, they're the ones that make up the large majority of the insane women in our country, especially. Same women that, they protest things. They don't know what they're talking about. They are so pro-abortion that in this case, it seems like they would like abortion when the kids are maybe 3-4 years old, because they are really pulling for this Lindsey Clancy woman. And, the case itself is just beginning. This is kind of, we're still getting info on it. And I looked into it, and it does seem, especially in Massachusetts, that this insanity defense, you're not guilty by reason of insanity. You are not guilty. I said it kind of weird, didn't I? The term isn't guilty by reason of insanity. It is not guilty by reason of insanity. So she does seem to have at least a case for that, this Lindsey Clancy woman. She does seem to have a case. Her lawyers are going to go with that. I don't think anyone, except for the mental patient women that are supporting her, I don't think anyone really doesn't believe she did this to her kids. She did strangle them, and then she cut herself and threw herself out the window. This is what seems to have happened. She had postpartum depression. She's been on all types of medication, psych meds for depression and anxiety and every other thing they want to pour pills down your throat for. And everyone knows she did it. That's kind of the thing. Some of these nuts want to make you believe her husband Patrick did it or was involved in it. He was out at the time. She had sent him out on an errand for a little while she made time for herself to murder her kids and then hurt herself. But lo and behold, she didn't die. So it looks like they're going to have to go for this insanity defense. And it doesn't look too bad for her in that sense. I think if she had, which it seems, she had this history of being nuts and needing help for various mental issues and problems. And she went to doctors. It's all documented. And got on and off of various medications. So it's not like people that just pop up with these defenses and go, oh, I was doing this and that. It seems like she did have quite some time in her life where she was dealing with mental illness. That being said, it certainly doesn't make it so that women can support this person like she's a saint on earth. I saw these women protesting in front of courthouses and whatnot, and they had their kids with them, which is macabre. That is some creepy stuff right there. You drag your kids to support a woman who murdered her kids. I would say Child Protective Services should be down there taking some photos and names and making visits to some of these women's households, if that's what you're doing with your time, with your kids. But yeah, we'll see where this goes. It's going to be one of those cases that get a lot of interest and probably get a TV show on Forensic Files or one of those things, maybe a documentary if it's good enough on HBO or something. And boy, do people love those. I guarantee every one of those women that are supporting her watch those shows religiously. Oh, let me just put on the station where Forensic Files plays 24/7. And they love it. They watch the HBO documentaries. And those things are a little... I enjoy some of them, but you got to admit, minute by minute of those documentaries, you could absolutely believe the person is a murderer. And then the next minute you're going, oh, my God, this person was set up. They obviously didn't do it. So it really does show the power of a documentary and how it is put out there and narrated and photographed and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. But that's the case right now. That's the case, and women are in droves trying to defend this woman. Talk about it real quick with some callers. ISO Eric, I don't know what it says there. Eric, well, Orlando, hey. What's up? What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? You know, it's kind of funny. I was listening to an old O&A show earlier about Andrea Yates, and I was just thinking, I wonder if there's any relation to this. Do you think they're related somehow?
Well, they're related in their child-raising tactics, but that was another one. You know, I don't know what happened. I was crazy. I blacked out. And then isn't she the one it turned out she had a boyfriend that didn't want kids or something?
No, that was Susan.
Oh,
Smith,
Susan
she was
Smith.
blaming it on. She had backed him down the little boat ramp.
Oh, Eric, why would I get those two confused? Oh, child murdering women. Oh boy, that's a tough one.
Unfortunately, Andrea Yates is still up by 2.
Yeah. Well, she what did she do? The bathtub?
Yeah, that was the 5 in the tub.
Right. Oh my goodness, God, 5 in the tub, and there was really no defense there. She was found guilty and put in prison. So was Susan Smith. So I don't know. Isn't it weird there weren't any women defending Andrea Yates or Susan Smith? That's for sure.
It was like what Jimmy said, that little ducky in the trash pail, the quack of the ducky in the trash pail.
Look at the crib outside at the curb for the garbage man, all still relatively new. It's so terrible. But, yeah, no one was defending them. And I bet you it's just because women in 2026, especially liberals, are way more crazy than they were back then. That's how I say it. Eric, thank you, my friend. And then Brian. Brian's got a comment on this. Brian, what's up, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I didn't really agree with you because it's a really sad story, but she's just a victim of circumstance as much as everyone else is, as much as her kids were. It's very sad, but also I don't know why you're going around calling ladies crazy. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a very, very sad story. I agree with you. She's a victim of circumstance. She's not a bad person. It's very sorry.
You think, Brian? Are you pulling my leg? Because everyone says that. Everyone says victim of circumstance. No one wants to accept responsibility anymore. And while I do believe she did have mental issues, you have to if you're going to kill your kids. But, blaming it on the pharmaceutical industry and doctors, it does seem pretty easy to do these days. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence as far as her insanity defense goes.
We're not trying to blame anyone. We're just trying to say it's a sad story, and we feel bad for her, and we feel bad for her kids.
All right. I think you're doing a little satire here, Brian.
I'm completely serious.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for your input. That's how crazy things are these days. I can't tell anymore. It sounded like, hey, no one's, don't say she's a victim of circumstance and things happen and people kill their children and it's no one's at fault here. It actually sounded like parody to me, but okay. People do feel that way. How I shouldn't judge. All right. Oh, my goodness. Plenty more of the Anthony Cumia Show to come. Stick around, and we will dish it out if you can take it. Back in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for tuning in. Another great Sunday. And we're talking a little bit here about the Lindsey Clancy thing, this woman that murdered her 3 kids, and women from all over are getting together and supporting a woman that murdered her 3 kids. And I am at a loss. But when you look at them, they do seem to be the same liberal imbeciles that are protesting and supporting people they shouldn't be supporting, ridiculous things that they go out there and spout to the masses. And it does seem to be that. We got a few calls here that want to talk about it, so I'll stay with it a little longer. This will be such a difficult case for an insanity defense. In some cases, it isn't as hard as this is going to be because the victims are different. If a woman kills her husband, let's say, and she says, I was depressed, I was this, I had hallucinations, and she has a paper trail from the doctors and medical trails of medication, it's a little easier to cop that plea. You're in the courtroom. You might have some people that are in the jury box that are sympathetic. And boy, is that important in a trial. You might have someone in there that also had or dealt with someone that has mental illness, has taken prescription medication, and there were some side effects, whatever it may be. And other women in there that might have had problems with their husbands. Well, there were a few times I would have liked to have ended the marriage without having to go through a divorce. But when you have a jury and they are passing around photos of dead kids, yikes, you have got your work cut out for you as a defense attorney. And you're now pitting, you're forcing the jury to decide who is more sympathetic, the poor woman that was on pills and didn't get the right advice from her doctor, or the poor, innocent, dead kids. That's a tough one to sell to a jury. That's one of those cases where it's very difficult to charge the jury as a judge, to instruct the jury to not put your emotions into this. Take the evidence for what it is. Don't get attached to any one thing through emotion, because I'll tell you, that's a tough one. You got mothers in that jury, and they're looking at pictures, and it's reminding them of their kids. it's impossible to take emotion out of that. So I don't know. Tough case, very tough case. Let's go to Michael in the great state of New Jersey. What's up, Michael? Yellow. Michael, New Jersey. Michael, the Garden State. No, nothing there. Hope it's not a problem with the phones. How about Anthony in Albuquerque? What's up?
Hey, Anthony. So these women defending Lindsey Clancy, you know they wanted Shiloh Hendricks to go to jail. They absolutely would. They would absolutely defend a woman who killed her children, but a woman who actually defends her children from third world barbarians, they want her to go to jail. It is insanity.
Yeah, it really is. It's so tough when you try to imagine picking a jury these days out of a jury pool that is just the nuts and lunatics that we see today that have no real concept of reality. So I don't know. It all depends on who they get in that jury box. But like I said, that's a tough one, man. You got to have a jury that's going to look at pictures of dead kids in horrific fashion and say, oh, well, you know, she was going through some things, so not guilty. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, Anthony.
I was 9 years old when Andrea Yates killed her kid. I remember that vividly, and I was just like, man, how could a woman do that?
Yeah.
But now looking at the women celebrating it, it makes sense. Anyways, I like you more than a friend.
Oh, hey, thank you, Anthony. That's so nice. Got a great name. I there is a problem with doctors prescribing medications to people. I don't know if it's made things better or worse. Probably a little of both. I think some people can take medication and do very well on it, and they live their lives as normal human beings, functioning at work, with family. And then there's people I think are on drugs they don't need to be on. Sometimes your life has its ups and downs. And when you're having your downs, you don't throw a fistful of pills in your face because you feel sad or depressed or you're down on yourself, whatever it may be. Back in the olden days, kids, people did what was called dealt with it. Deal with it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. One of the things I heard. And the idea of, and here's another thing that's kind of good and bad. The idea of asking for help was stigmatized and looked down upon, especially for men, but women, you know. Mother's Little Helper, the Rolling Stones song, all about a woman, and she's a mom and a wife, and it's too much for her, so she takes Mother's Little Helper. It's kind of been a thing. You know, they take tranquilizers. My God, how many funny old movies do you watch where the woman, my God, she was hysterical. She's in the bedroom sleeping. I gave her a tranquilizer. Oh, I love those. Hilarious. How about the old slap in the face? Remember that one? I can't take it anymore. I'm going crazy if I have to stay in this. The guy just kind of smacks her and she's right back in line. There were over-the-counter things. One of them was called Compose. I remember this as a kid. And the commercial was the husband and wife. I guess it was their daughter's wedding. And the wife goes up to the husband and she's like, I'm so nervous. I don't know what to do. And the husband goes, honey, take Compose. And just shoves some pill down her throat. And they're at the wedding and all is great. And she's drooling over a Manhattan. So there's always been this thing about giving, especially women, pills to take care of their crazy, unpredictable emotions. God, that's so funny. I just think of those movies, those old movies. Give her a tranquilizer. Oh, jeez. That's what they did. But now it's kind of looked at like every woman needs one if she's upset or, oh, I'm depressed. Look around before you go to a doctor and go to the CVS and get your pills. Look around at your life and see if there's a reason for being unhappy. Not clinical depression. I understand that exists. I'm not saying everything is a lie, but doctors will more likely than not prescribe antidepressants or anti-anxiety. Are you going through something in life that is depressing? Are you going through something in life that contributes to anxiety? Then go through it. It's part of life. It's not always good, that's for sure. But you do have to work your way through it. And we become so accepting of just dumping pills in your face. And then you get something that happens like this. And a woman murders her 3 kids. And she's saying, I was depressed. I was anxious. I had this and that postpartum. And they gave me pills. They weren't working. So I got new pills. And when push came to shove, I killed my kids. And you get a bunch of people now that go, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Yeah, I've been depressed. I've been on medication. I've thought this. How about life? The medication of life. You go through it. It's great. It's awful. And it's everything in between. And that's kind of what it's supposed to be. Don't get me wrong, there are miraculous medications for people. Physically ill, mentally ill. I get it. But like I said, more likely than not, doctors are ready, willing, and able to, write a script. Ask your doctor about whatever the pill is. And there's a great financial advantage to everyone when they prescribe these things. All right, back in a second.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hi, everybody. That was weird. I was hearing nothing from our command center up in New York. I thought maybe a nuke fell, something like that, Godzilla. But I'm back. The Anthony Cumia Show. And a few other things going on, that's for sure. A lot of things going on. I guess we're at war with Canada. It's not as bad as the Iranian thing, but the last thing I read about this Canada thing was that we had a deal all hammered out, and Trump said, no tariffs, it's going to be great, we got this deal. And then today I see a story that we are in a trade war with Canada, 50% tariffs. And everybody's upset. What's going on? We're not wars the way we're supposed to. We're either warring or we're not. We can't do it on a daily basis. It doesn't work well. It's not a good look. We just have to war. It's got to be constant until the war's over. Someone wins, someone loses, and that's it. But I kind of got a chuckle out of it hearing that what's up for grabs here? The big thing with the Iranian thing, it's nuclear weapons. Oh, my God, we're at war for nuclear weapons. The Straits of Hormuz have to remain opened or the world will suffer. Well, that's serious stuff. Canada, we're at war over what seems most importantly to be booze and hockey sticks. I heard the story. I'm like, yes, such goods as booze and hockey sticks will have tariffs put on them. I was like, oh no. So that's a big one right there. I'm sure we'll be fine. It's like America is the older brother. Canada's the slow younger brother that just wants to hang out. And sometimes you get into a little argument, and the big brother has to smack the little brother upside the head and say, what's your problem? Don't be an idiot. And then everything works out. That's how I see our relationship with our little neighbors to the north. So we'll see how this works out. An unfolding story, the Canada-America trade war. I want to also talk about the education system in this country. My God, it is a catastrophe. I've been seeing so many videos online of people. They have their camera, their phone, and a microphone. And one of those little, what are they, 6x5 file cards? Remember those? You saw them in the card catalog at your local library. And there's a phrase, a sentence spelt out on this thing. It's got some what would be considered big words in it, but not crazy, like antithesis, something like that. And he hands a card to some of the people on the street, young people. You could tell they're either in high school or college. They cannot read these. They cannot read it. They're stumbling over the words. They don't know what the words mean. They certainly can't pronounce them. And then even if they get through it by mispronouncing all the words, the person asks them, well, what does that mean? And they have no clue. No clue. And you know, who are we blaming here? Where does the blame go? Is it the institutions of learning around the country, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools? Is it the universities? I don't think so. I saw a story yesterday, and it was UCLA. A professor at UCLA had an issue with the students not being able to read or write or do math or any of the simple things you are supposed to learn before you get into college. And there were some comments posted about the story that said UCLA should be embarrassed. And I was thinking about that, and I don't totally agree. I agree in that they should never take a student who cannot read or write. That seems to be pretty reasonable. UCLA should check to see if the people coming into their university can actually read and write. But most of that blame, I see it, going on to the elementary schools and high schools. I mean, where else are they supposed to have learned this? How did they get through that without knowing how to read and write? Progressing with every grade with no ability whatsoever. You're in fifth grade. You can't even do second grade reading, and they push you right into sixth. And you keep going till you get spit out the other end, a complete idiot. But you're an idiot that's going to college because for some reason you were able to get loans that you won't be able to pay off, or you got a scholarship because you're good at sport maybe, or you're able to get into one of the historically black universities because of your race. And you get in there because perish the thought anyone looked at grades, or if you have an ability to do the simplest of things you should have been able to do in high school. So I've been looking into these stories, and Gavin Newsom was asked this very thing. Gavin Newsom was asked about the SATs and all these tests that they've done away with, proficiency tests, tests that let the people in the schools know if your students can read or do math. And those tests have been deemed either racist, racially insensitive, or they don't cater to enough of the student body. They only cater to the smart people and not to the people that can't do the test. So instead of teaching the people that aren't able to do well on the test so they can do better, they just say, well, let's do away with the test. And they've done away with every single thing that lets the teachers and administrators know if they're doing their job. That's their job. That isn't, it's both things. It lets you know if the student is learning, but it also lets you know if the teacher is teaching. When you stats come out that these kids can't read, you can't just go, oh, what a bunch of dumb kids. You have to go, what a bunch of crappy teachers. And don't even start with money. This country pumps more money per student into primary education than anywhere. And the more money that goes in, the worse students come out. So it isn't about money. It's about teaching kids and having them in an environment where they can learn. And that's a big thing, too. Total lack of discipline in schools. Total lack of discipline. And even the kids that want to learn have a problem because there's pandemonium going on around them. So here's Gavin Newsom. He's asked a question about these grades and what might be done about it. And, of course, he does not even come close to giving an answer. Let's listen. AC2. Got it? I can't hear it. Oh, hold on. I'm being told to go into a holding pattern. AC2 is the clip. Gavin Newsom dodges questions. No? Huh? What? I can't hear you. Yell it. I'm getting instructions from Mission Control. I'm crashing. We're going in. Altitude. Pull up. All right. Just play it when you got it. Oh, we're having issues. Oh, okay, we're having issues. All right. I'll give it to him because it's kind of the first time we've ever had issues. But Gavin Newsom, see, here's what happens. Oh, you got it. Okay, I was going to describe it in my inimitable style. Oh, good. Here's Gavin Newsom.
DSA also wants to get rid of the border. Is that right?
What we talk about is an immigration system that is actually fair for people across the globe, and recognizing the reality that a lot of immigration is driven by conditions that the U.S. has helped to propagate across the globe. So, we don't talk.
This doesn't seem to be the clip. That seems to be an immigration clip. We were doing an education, not immigration. It's a very difficult situation. All right. If you can't find it, you can't find it. That's okay. It was AC2 on the list, but
there's this open letter going around where 1,000 or more professors in the UC system are raising alarms about what they see as, in some cases, a severe lack of preparedness among college students who are heading into calculus and other advanced courses.
Have a private conversation out loud?
But I did want to get your position on what they're calling for. They're saying that, the system needs to reinstate standardized testing as a part of admissions. So I want to get your position on that.
We all have our own perspective, on this, and they could speak for their thought on their. You could say what you think on this. Here's what I think. And I've said it, of course, the last 6 months. I think it's an important discussion and debate. I'm open argument, interested in evidence. Show me the data. I have feelings about this. There's anecdotes about this. But I want to see the data. And I made that point at the regental level, at the UCs, talked to the president and talked to a member of the board, and express that point of view, not just publicly, but also privately as well. And so the data needs to bear out, the ultimate determination on this. But again, there's some contra data that's coming out and suggesting different things, and that's where I leads to my.
I'll say a word or two, but I think the first thing to understand is that bringing a test back may happen or may not.
All right. Yeah, tests need to come back. Here's what I got. I was jotting down a few words as Gavin Newsom was speaking. Perspective on things. Discussion. A discussion is necessary. Data. Feelings. I have feelings about these things. Did he say antidotes? I don't know. Antidotes or anecdotes. He didn't say anecdotes. He said antidotes. Talks. We need talks. A point of view. Data. Breakouts. Or the data has to bear out, and counter data. How about the data's in? without standardized testing, you have no clue if total imbeciles are going into the colleges out of high school. There's no indicator there that lets anyone know if you're letting a complete dolt get into your college. They don't seem to care as long as they're liberal-minded. I think they prefer idiots because they're the ones that are easily manipulated and molded into the liberal dummies that we see coming out of these colleges all the time. So I think it's part of the whole thing. If you have tests that separate the dummies from the smart people, then the colleges will kind of be forced to take the smart people. And they don't want the smart people. They're too self-sufficient. They're too smart to be bamboozled by these commie professors and whatnot. So they love a good dummy coming in there. You could just fill their head up with all that nonsense and have them protesting, and they get spit out as good little commies or Democrats, liberals, and all their time, effort, money, and votes go to the party that they want the votes to go to. So it's a lot bigger than just, well, it's crazy if we don't allow dummies into college. There's a whole agenda behind it. And Newsom wants no part of actually having the students prove that they've learned something in their 12 years in public education. But we won't see that. We won't say it. He signs bills against anything that holds anyone accountable, whether it's for school, did you learn anything, or whether it's crimes, did you commit a crime, or a number of other things. I think he signed another bill. Yeah, it's the Stop Nick Shirley bill. We'll talk about that in a bit. But anything this guy signs, it's so detrimental to the country. But, you heard the woman interviewing him, getting all gushy about him. He says something. She goes, oh, he's so handsome. He's so handsome. That's all they care about. That's why women think they say they'd vote for him if he ran for president. He just looks like a movie version of a president from an 80s movie. Mr. President. He's got kind of the gray hair and tall, white guy. Yeah, that's about it. Let's see. People still want to talk about the Lindsey Clancy thing. Scott, Florida, what's up?
Hey, Anthony, how are you this evening?
Good.
Yeah, this topic kind of spawns also some of the other things you were talking about, what I want to say, but I think a lot of these people that are nuts that support her killing her kids.
Yeah.
I think it's all about just destroying what is normal, common decency that we used to have in this country. If we eliminate all that, then basically anything goes, right? Everybody's got an excuse for everything.
Yeah, if everybody has an excuse for lousy behavior, what's to stop them from behaving lousily? It's just the way it is, and it is. There's such a lack of everything that comes to decorum in this country. Right. Courtesy, patience. No one has patience for anything. They're the victims, constant victimization of themselves in any circumstance. And that's what we see. And I don't see an end to it.
Well, and I think, I hate to say this, but I think a lot of it was brought upon ourselves, our generation, past generations. Americans are very generous. They're very sympathetic.
Oh, yeah.
And it used to be you see that, I feel kind of sorry for them, and maybe, we give this person a pass, so and so. And next thing you know, it becomes easier just to give them a pass than to make them, like that scene from 300. Yeah. Look at him. He makes you stand up with a bad leg. I only ask you to kneel.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's easier just to let them go and just turn a blind eye to them than actually expect something from them to make something of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the past decade or more, decade and a half, has really turned out a horrible version of Americans. Not all Americans, I'm not saying that, but there is a certain American in this country that is just abominable. They're terrible to be around. They seem to hate the country, and they're no reason. They have no ability to reason things out, and they gravitate towards some of the most twisted crap you could imagine. Defending a woman for killing her 3 kids.
Right.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. Thank you, Scott from Florida. Okay, look, we will return in moments. Don't you go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Talking about education, lack thereof here in this country. It's a shame. Even I went through the whole public education process. Seemed silly at the time for my brilliant, mature mind to be doing things like finger painting or writing letters and numbers on giant yellow pulp-filled paper with a giant pencil. You ever try to erase on that yellow paper? When I was a kid, we would have penmanship classes, and you had to write the uppercase and lowercase letters. And if you made a mistake, you try to erase, and that paper was like rolling paper. It was so thin and delicate, and it would just rip. It was a joy to write on. But now I don't even think kids do that. What do you use? Your phone or your iPad or something, kids these days? So another thing that was very important in school when I was growing up was attendance. Oh, my God, if you didn't show up, people got mad. Your parents got mad. In elementary school, it wasn't really a problem because they sent you to school. What were you going to do? You're in 3rd grade. You're going to go hang out with your friends. It was no reason to cut. Junior high is where you started kind of bailing. And then high school, forget about it. You're just out with your friends, missing classes. People get very upset, the parents, the teachers, and we always heard, if you don't show up, the school loses money. So I guess they have to send their attendance in to the government entity that funds public schools, and they'll only pay for the students that are there that day. So a full school, the school loves it. They're getting all kinds of cash. And if a student isn't there, they lose money. So Detroit has looked at that and said, what can we do about it? Discipline? Consequences? Maybe if you don't show up, you get detention. And if you don't show up still, you get suspension. And then the dreaded expulsion. I don't think anyone gets expelled anymore. I don't even think that's a thing. Or even suspended. They've turned discipline in school into something that's also horribly racist or unfair in some way, shape, or form. So you can't use discipline. So what do they use? Money. Yes, money. Detroit public schools will pay high school students $100 a week and middle schoolers $50 a week for perfect attendance. Oh, yeah. Bribing the students to come in with like a nice chunk of change for a kid. The expansion of the program follows a high school rollout that produced measurable movement in one of the district's biggest challenges. In 25-26 in Detroit, approximately 12,800 high school students received at least one gift card. So they were giving out gift cards for this. Now they're bringing middle schoolers into the mix and giving them cold, hard cash. I guess if you get more than $100 per student from the government, then giving them $100 is a win. It's a profit. You're buying and selling students. It's kind of like slavery. Paying students to attend school is certain to generate conversation about whether financial incentives should be necessary in the first place. For Detroit, perfect attendance is no longer just something that looks good on a report card. It could look good in a student's pocket, too. They're talking about this, the Source magazine, the magazine of hip-hop, music, culture, and politics. That's where I'm getting my story this week from. And they love the idea. They love the idea. There's some important rules behind the money. All right, got a few rules here. The program does not operate throughout the entire 180-day school year. The incentives have traditionally been concentrated into weekly cycles from January through March, a stretch when Detroit winter weather and serious illness can make getting students into the classroom especially difficult. Students must attend every hour of every class period, Monday through Friday, to qualify for that week's payout. An unexcused absence or skipped class means losing the money. So you can even have an excused absence and still make some cake here. Detroit is putting serious resources behind the strategy. Approximately $14 million. $14 million have been allocated toward attendance incentives and efforts aimed at reducing chronic absenteeism. Holy moly, man. This is where we are. No standardized testing. They're leaving the schools unable to read, write, or do the simplest of mathematics. And now, to try to get them to even come into school, they're doling out millions upon millions of dollars to kids that will most certainly use it for drugs, alcohol, or guns, or other nefarious purposes, indeed. Isn't that something? What have we become? It used to be, you told the kids what to do. You can't be absent. Show up, or this consequence happens. Now it's if you show up, I'll give you $100 or $50. Crazy stuff. All right, people, don't you go anywhere. Plenty more of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for popping on. Boy, that I just saw in the news here, Sean Grayson, he's the ex-deputy convicted of fatally shooting Sonia Massey. You might remember that one. They were called to a residence. The cops came in. The woman was like going a little nutty and then threw a pot of boiling water at one of the cops. And the cop opened fire and killed the woman. Killed her. And he died in prison. He was found guilty, got a 20-year sentence. And he was in there for 6 months, and he's dead. He did have cancer, but they don't know if it's the cancer that killed him or something else. Maybe some of that prison justice. People, they take things into their own hands in the joint. You don't want to go there, I tell you. I'm always amazed at the lengths people are willing to go criminally when they know that consequence of prison is there. Always scared the crap out of me. Growing up, you do some dumb things. You might pilfer a thing or two that's kind of cheap. Maybe driving without some of the proper documentation as a kid. But how about bank robbery or something? Murder. That kept me in line. I know that's a big part of keeping me in line as growing up and into adulthood. You just don't want to go there. It doesn't seem fun. Even the movies they make about it. Usually when they make a movie about something, it seems more exciting or fun or whatever. Even prison movies. Oh, boy. Has there ever been a fun prison movie? Like a comedy? I guess Stir Crazy was one. But they were under constant threat of being sexually assaulted. So that's always a thing. You will never hear a story, a movie, a TV show about prison without that little tidbit of information being thrown in there. And if that isn't enough to keep you on the straight and narrow, I don't know what's wrong with you. But that poor bastard got 20 years. He's dead after 6 months at 32 years old. We'll see what happens, what the cause was. But I'm certain there will be a segment of society that will be celebrating the death of this ex-deputy. Anywho, let's go to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dateline, Minneapolis. Mayor Jacob Frey, you might know him. He's the very effeminate mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Past glories of him have been crying like a woman at the casket, the golden casket of George Floyd during George Floyd's funeral. On his knees, head against the golden casket, and just weeping like a woman. Dancing. He loves to dance. He was dancing at some festival. So embarrassing. So embarrassing, this guy. And he's the mayor of a city that is now just kind of known for corruption, fraud within their child care system, and a lot of other organizations around Minneapolis are rife with corruption. This is Mayor Frey. So he got in front of a microphone and talked about how he needs to increase people's taxes. So if you're in Minneapolis, you're actually working, you're not stealing, you're not on welfare, and you are paying your taxes like a good person, he needs more money from you because people are stealing money from the city. That's what's going on. So here's Mayor Frey. Let's see how he puts this tax thing. Mayor Frey, AC1, if you will.
My 2027 budget proposal totals approximately $2.3 billion, including a general fund of $753 million. It proposes an 11.3% increase to the proposed tax levy, about $409 a year, or $34 a month for the median value homeowner. Second, we have cut 100 positions in our city government. But to be clear, we did not begin with layoffs.
So Mayor Jacob Frey is saying that they need to raise property taxes on residents because they have a budget shortfall of like $60 million. Well, why would they possibly have a budget shortfall? Well, federal prosecutors have described massive multi-year fraud schemes centered around Minneapolis. Wow, well, that's where he's mayor. Isn't that something? Of course, they have the Feeding Our Future scam, and then they have the Medicaid social services scams. And prosecutors have stated that more than half of roughly $18 billion in federal funds across 14 programs may have been stolen. So, I don't know, maybe if you don't let third world Somalians steal all your money, you wouldn't need to raise property taxes on homeowners.
Words of wisdom, Lloyd, words of wisdom. But they don't care that Somalis come over here and have their own little enclave in cities like Minneapolis and steal from the tax-paying public, the people that are working within the system. And that, my friend, my friends, is what is going on, and that's what the mayor feels he has to do instead of going after the fraud and making sure the taxpayers aren't paying to finance Somalis. They send the money over to Somalia. God knows what they're doing with it over there. We can only imagine. But this is what Mayor Frey has done. And it goes hand in hand with what I was talking about earlier about Gavin Newsom and him signing these bills. He has a Stop Nick Shirley Act. Now, of course, it's not called that on the bill. They always do that. Like the big, beautiful bill, the SAVE Act, things like that. But this bill that Newsom signed is in order to prevent people in the media from finding out where the people committing fraud live and what their businesses, where their business addresses are. Because Nick Shirley went to Minneapolis and he took a camera and a microphone and went to some of these Minneapolis-based child care centers, Leering centers, if you remember, and exposed, got the ball rolling on a lot of fraud going on over there. And this is happening everywhere. And instead of wanting to get to the bottom of the fraud, people like Jacob Frey and like Governor Gavin Newsom would rather sign bills that prevent people like Nick Shirley from investigating the fraud. And critics have blasted the measure as a way to intimidate people trying to shine a light on bad behavior, such as Nick Shirley. The program already, it's the same program as the program that covers domestic violence survivors, because you don't want people to be able to get the address of domestic violence survivors. All right, you could kind of understand that. Elder abuse victims, reproductive and gender-affirming healthcare workers, people that are mutilating kids. That's another one that shouldn't be in there. And people that run abortion clinics. They think that the people that need protection, like, let's, of course, pick something reasonable like domestic violence survivors, the people committing fraud should be given the same protection as people who have suffered domestic violence. This is insane. But this is, again, what they're doing. This is what your Democrats socialists, they're destroying every institution, everything we hold dear, everything that we look at with thinking it's basic common sense. Our immigrant service providers are living in fear because of extremists looking to demonize the work that they do and the populations they serve. They're trying to make it seem like he's going after the immigrants and not the fraud that they're perpetrating. Shirley is an independent journalist, and they're saying they don't want people like that. They're saying true journalists under the First Amendment, of course, should be able to do their job. Newsom said in February that Somali daycare providers were under siege following Shirley's arrival. Under siege? A siege of people that are trying to find out what crimes they're perpetrating? Maybe that's what they're under siege from. Yeah. All right. Just going through the story here. Complaints have since been filed with California legislature. The episode, that was one of the interviews that Nick Shirley was doing with some guy, a legislator, and he held up a sign commenting on the size of Nick Shirley's manhood. That's their comeback. That's the way they debate wanting to expose fraud. It's It's ridiculous. But that's it. That's what's going on. And Gavin Newsom signed it with pride. Please don't look into our fraud, especially when it's perpetrated by migrants or illegal aliens. Who knows? All right. Stick around. Back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is the Anthony Cumia Show. And I'm Anthony Cumia, apparently. Take a couple of phone calls here on the topics of the evening. The lovely Susan, how are you, dear?
I am just, enjoying this. I'm a worker bee. I work Thursday through Sunday, so Sunday is sort of like my Friday night. And I just like to, sit back and, do my laundry, listen to you. But you brought up so many great things, but I want to touch base on this reading. The failure to teach kids basic reading and math.
Read. Right.
Because this is intentional.
Yeah, what is the MO here, Susan?
Yeah, the teachers union, they dictate the curriculum in public schools. I'm not an armchair quarterback. I was in grassroots on this, trying to get the charter school bill passed in New York State, because charter schools do not have to conform to the union work rules. Mm-hmm. So that's why charter school kids can read and get scholarships across socioeconomic lines. So when they took phonics out of the schools between the 80s and 90s, which was a proven method of teaching children to learn to read, because, the teachers union already wanted to instill their own propaganda, take away real learning. They didn't want kids to learn and be smart and be independent. They wanted to teach that propaganda and have drag queens and tell kids, you can be whatever. You want to be a cat. You want to be a different gender. So this has been going on for 20 years. So 30 years.
Susan, what do you think the agenda is here? What's the end game? Why are they doing this? Why would you want an entire nation of stupid kids?
So they can be dependent on government, so that they do not know our history, so that they can confuse the hell out of people. And, unfortunately, we have a lot of family, kids barely have one parent. Like my kids went to parochial schools, and a lot of the kids that were in there, their grandparents were actually raising them because their own parents were in jail. That was in Brooklyn. So, you know what? I have a real rich history and grassroots on this. And, they're starting to bring it back. But also, they just came out last week with in New York City, $45 billion a year for less than 1 million kids, and 50% of them are not able to read or write.
Yeah, can't read or write. Cannot read or write. And we're all onto it now, Susan. Everyone's onto it now. It's not like they could hide it. It seems like they were hiding it for a while, but now everyone's onto it. They're mad and asking questions. Why can't these kids read and write and do math? And no one has an answer. No one's been able to come up with an answer. They just want more money.
Well, but that doesn't correlate to better results. The more money they get, the more, and I got to get Nick Shirley up there, because $45 billion, that's 1/3 of the New York City budget.
Yeah.
For the whole city is 120-something. $45 billion, and these are your effing results?
I like it. I like it, Susan. You're full of rage and a little bourbon, too. Thank you, Susan. You make a great point. Susan makes a great point there. It's the teachers, the unions especially. You can't fire bad teachers. And they're only following what their superiors tell them. The curriculum is given to them. They can't go off book and be one of those movie or TV show teachers. I'm throwing the book away, and we're going to talk about this today. Let's all sit on our desks and rap. We'll rap about this. That's nonsense. They're handed an agenda, and they have to follow it. They're everything they give the students, from a handout, what we used to call dittos. Remember the ditto? To tests, to what they're supposed to read. That's all given to the teacher to give to the student. So you don't hear stories anymore of these great teachers who did such an amazing job. Oh, I remember my history teacher, and they made me so interested in history that I pursued a career as a history teacher. It doesn't happen anymore. They're all the same cookie-cutter teachers that hand out things that aren't really teaching the kids. And then they don't test them, so you don't know if it's working. They get into college, and they can't do the simplest of math problems or read the easiest of books. And, boy, they find that out pretty quick when they have to live life. When you can't read out there, oh, boy, that's really going to be a roadblock on the road to success. I'll tell you that one. But they don't seem to care. Maybe the students do, but the teachers, administrators, the politicians, they don't seem to care. You'd think that would be the number one issue. Teaching kids isn't the most important thing. That's for sure. Not the most important thing. If you look at what some of the politicians they think is an important thing for the children, it's not school. Oh, look, I was going to get to this, but I don't know if I have. Yeah, maybe I do. Here's a U.S. Senate candidate, Angie Nixon. And she likes things like drag shows. Yes, drag shows. Clip AC3. Let's listen to her. Hello? We are really having some tech issues, aren't we? No? Anyone? Check 1, 2. I don't know. I guess we're not going to hear that. She says drag shows are great for kids.
I don't understand.
There it is.
There's no sexualization at a drag show. It's just people dressing up and singing and performing. I've taken my children.
She's taken her children. It's all sexualization. It's all. Oh, you could cut it off. I heard it. I heard it through my headphones. Did it go out over the air? Who knows? We're just flying on a wing and a prayer here tonight. Yeah, she says she takes her kids to the drag shows. It's not sexual. Meanwhile,
I don't understand.
You don't have to keep playing.
There's no sexualization at a drag show. It's just people dressing up and singing and performing. I've taken my children to drag shows, and it's fun. It's entertainment. It's wholesome entertainment, and it's nothing.
All right, it's wholesome entertainment. Yeah, it's all sexualization. Let's be real. They're men strutting around with their man asses hanging out. Their junk tucked precariously down in their undies, and that is not something a child should be involved in. And it's all sexual. They strut around. They have like the fake cleavage. How do you say that's not a sexual thing? And it's not appropriate for the children. Give me a break. But this woman, Angie Nixon, is a nut. Good luck, Florida. Back in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. I apologize for any technical difficulties. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. Remember that one? Yeah, it looks like they got it all fixed. We'll cross our fingers, knock wood, and hope for the best. Yeah. But like I was saying, yeah, drag shows, to say they're for kids is you have a problem. You can't distinguish, make any differentiation between what kids should see and what is adult entertainment. Oh, well, they're not pulling out their genitals. Oh, well, thank God. That doesn't mean that something can't be completely inappropriate for kids. And drag is inappropriate. Look, if you want to go to a drag show and you're an adult, have at it. Have fun. I used to go over to Fire Island with friends, heterosexual friends, with my girlfriend. Don't start that. Don't start that nonsense. But we'd go over there, and they'd have drag shows over there. And you go up to one of the bars, you're drinking, and they're putting on a drag show. And it's all these bawdy kind of double entendre lyrics for the songs, and they're strutting around. It's pretty gross, I guess is the word. But if that's what you're into, whatever. But kids, knock it off. Don't try to make it a thing where, oh, it's family entertainment. Manson family, maybe. Angie Nixon, Senate candidate Angie Nixon, is not the only mental patient or liberal or commie running for a Senate. We have our Senate nominee, Democrat nominee from Texas, James Tallarico. This guy has been all over the news, and every time you see him, you go, what an idiot. And what a guy who's just lost. He's such a liberal that he can't make a distinction between who he is and what the liberals are doing and forcing him to say. It means that he has no idea what version of himself he wants to put out there. So he just absorbs liberals, commies, goes out and repeats it, trying to gather up voters. But it's not, I don't even know who this guy is. But he seems stupid. So here he is talking about, again, trans kids. He's asked a very weird question, and he gives an even stranger, weirder answer. Here's James Tallarico, AC4.
Something that you love that's not family or friends. Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, and just say this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
What a dumb answer. What do you love? And you can't pick friends or family. You know, that's my great wife and I love my kids and I love so you can't say that. The first thing that comes to this guy's mind is trans kids. That's who he loves. Oh, I saw him fighting out there. First of all, it's complete bull. That is not what he really thinks. This guy is such a liar. He can't put out who he is, what he really believes in. He wants votes, so he's just repeating and reciting everything that people tell him from the left. That's what he's got to say. So when someone asks him, a normal human being would go, oh, wow, baseball. I love baseball. I take, it's not about family, I know, but throwing the ball around with my son or going to a ball game with whatever, a hobby. Hey, I like cars. I work on my cars. And he goes, trans kids. What a creep. What a ghoul that's the first thing that comes to your mind. What do you love? And you can't pick family or friends. Trans kids. You monster. But that's what he said. That's what he thinks is the greatest thing besides friends and family. This is why you can't vote for these people. We got a midterm election coming up. A lot of valuable seats are up for grabs. And how do you vote for someone that isn't honest with you in who they are? Not even honest who I am. Oh, here's what I like. Here's what I do. I can't even be honest with that. I need to lie to you, to all my voters, about that so I could get your vote. Because I don't know, if I tell you who I really am, you might not vote for me. So I'm going to lie and make up this person, this liberal person. He doesn't think that it's not third. Family and friends are 1 and 2. Number 3, trans kids. It's embarrassing. It's ghoulish, but it's also quite embarrassing that that's your answer. Can we click the continue button on the phones? So I may go to a caller. It is like Chernobyl here tonight. It's like Chernobyl. Pushing some buttons and the whole reactor lid flew off, and now there's burning radioactive graphite all over the studio. No, can't hit that continue button so I could take a call. Hello, check. Anyone there? I'm all alone. No. Oh, let's go to George in Buffalo. There we go. Okay. George, Buffalo, New York. How you doing?
Anthony, the freak show's getting bigger and bigger.
It is.
That James Tellerico is running for senator in Texas on the Democratic line. I once called the show a couple of months ago trying to tell people about this guy. This is on another station. I don't want to get into it, but it's a freak show. It's just getting bigger and bigger. The woman down in Florida, Agnes Nixon, some name there, boy.
Yeah.
She loves drag shows and everything. I wish I was the media guy for the person running against her. I would just play that over and over and over again everywhere. I would have that played everywhere. Everybody would be saying that.
Exactly.
As soon as they hear drag queen, they'll say Angie Nixon.
George, why don't you say you're Steve from Manhattan? I would pick up.
Oh, listen, I didn't know that. That's why I wasn't sure. But let me give you another freak show that's going on. This is one of the best. The top communist Chinese, right? They send their pregnant wives to California to give birth. So they got the birthright vacation going on. But this is like a colony in China now because they go back to China with the baby. They've been doing this for 25 years since we opened up trade with them. So this is what's I call now a national security freak show. That's what it is, folks.
Yep. And what you know what they do? They wind up getting all kinds of benefits that they could take back to China with them. And you now have an American, technically, in America to, who knows to do what and bring that information back to their Chinese overlords. I hate the idea of birthright citizenship. I think it should have been done away with. I think the Supreme Court really screwed the pooch on that one, especially the Trump appointee that didn't go along with it. Thank you, George, Steve. Whatever you want to call them. People with fake names. I don't know why you would want to do that. But Joaquin, I'm going to talk to Joaquin here. I know he's the genuine article from Pennsylvania. What's up, my friend?
Good evening, Anthony. I got to tell you, in regards to our friend Susan, there have been many great minds that were soaked with alcohol, even including mine. And also, too, as to what she said, actually, remember, Ebonics replaced phonics.
Right. Hooked on Ebonics worked for me.
There you go. Well, you made me laugh so hard I couldn't stop laughing when you were talking about the guy smacking his wife back into line.
Yeah, the old days.
Ralph Cramden, Alice to the moon.
You'd always threaten to hit her. When you really think about the honeymooners, Ralph threatened to hit his wife, Alice, so hard in the face that she would literally leave the atmosphere, leave the Earth's gravitational pull, reach escape velocity from him punching her in the face, and land on the moon. That was entertainment, folks.
Right, and then there was Ricky Ricardo. He always had to keep Lucy in line.
Yeah, he would spank her on the show every so often. He would put her over his knee and hit her ass really hard, and she'd be like, "Wow, Ricky." But that was part of the whole deal back then, and it was considered hilarious.
But I don't know if you remember the movie, and I was talking about the women that killed their own children. Farrah Fawcett Majors played that one. I mean, Farrah was hot, when she played the one where she was so horny for this guy, she killed her 3 children,
Oh, I don't remember that one. I remember the burning bed where she was an abused wife and she set her husband on fire.
No, there was one movie actually that was one of these women that killed the 3 children, drowned them or whatever, because she was hot for this guy and he didn't want to have kids. So she goes and kills her kids, But what makes me laugh too is that one time I took my youngest son to the emergency room, and so she's going the woman, the liberal, she's sitting there, she's asking, "Oh, is anybody abusing you?" And I looked at her and said, "Yeah, I am." And she looked at me, she goes, "Mr. Watkins," she goes, "That is really not very funny."
Jeez.
But, oh yeah, but all these psychiatrists, because you talked about getting and to these women. Maybe they should let them, give them weed to smoke, because I don't think you get too many people committing violent acts on weed,
Yeah, but, true. It'll make you slow and a little stupid, but...
But, psychiatrists, who wants to go get help from a psychiatrist? Because I'll bet you if you question every single one of them, who did you vote for, they probably say Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton,
Yeah,
so, They want to take your guns away. The second you admit to anything, you have guns in the house, and...
Right.
Well, maybe that's not safe for you. It's ridiculous. This whole country, everything is just like you say. It's gone upside down, and I just don't know what to say. I can't believe that people vote for these idiots.
That's the most amazing part. Someone could be an idiot and want to run for office, but how are so many people voting for them and getting them in these offices? It's beyond me. I don't get it.
What we need is more nuns with rulers to go around and smack these kids. And
those good old stories. Not that I even remember them. I remember the stories, and those were scary enough. But thanks a lot, Joaquin. Here he goes. Yeah, the good old days. That was comedy, and kind of had a lesson to it. Everyone knew their role, is what it was. We all knew our roles back. In the day. No one tried to intrude upon other people's roles as men and women especially. It's ridiculous. There are plenty of jobs, and I bring up police work especially, that women shouldn't have. You could argue and debate with me about it. You could point out these one-of-a-kind instances where these amazingly strong women could take down a man perpetrator. But this is not the rule. These are anomalies. And they're just, something happened where people just decided women should be able to do everything men do. Men weren't saying they want to do everything women are doing. We never said that. That wasn't a thing. Oh, well, men weren't the ones being kept from doing these things. Women weren't either. Because for the vast majority of women, they didn't want to be cops. They didn't want to work on skyscrapers as riveters. They didn't want to go into the military, especially during wartime. They were brainwashed by the liberal left that they wanted to do this. You need to do this. You need to forego your role as a woman, forego what women have done successfully for millennia, being mothers, raising children, supporting your husband, who is the one going out and making the money and building a home. These are roles that were so important and worked so well for so long. And then, oh, women should be cops. Women should be construction workers. Women should be allowed to join men's clubs. And it all became crap. All the good of the jobs and the recreation where it was just men and just women, you mixed it up and it all became garbage. Everyone gets in trouble now. That's pretty much what it was. You look at a show that represented the 60s pretty well, the early 60s advertising, Mad Men. And you look at the people and how they acted with each other and treated each other and joking around and getting work done. No one was getting in trouble for saying something inappropriate in the workplace. That started when women started entering the male workplace. That's it. You can argue that it's a good thing that women were able to come into the male workplace, but I'm not buying it. You have a hard time convincing me that it's gotten better because of it. And now you have women that they're not having kids, or if they are having kids, they're neglecting them in lieu of working and a career, pawn them off on some house keeper or child care, daycare center, or what have you. Look at AOC freezing those eggs, freezing those huevos, so she could pursue her political aspirations and not have some pesky, terrible child to deal with. They were convinced. I've always said women are a little more malleable, easily manipulated, because they're overly emotional in a lot of cases. They're probably not going to want to hear this. But what do you want me to do? Lie? Lie like James Tallarico? I'm telling you the truth. You might not want to hear it. But those traditional roles were there for so long for a reason. Out of nowhere in the 60s, women decided they wanted to do what men do. And they really don't. A lot of women that are in male-oriented jobs and careers are kind of miserable. I don't think they're happy in that line of work. But we're, supposed to be led to believe that it's the greatest thing for women. And the whole country has suffered because of it. You don't have kids growing up with two parents. Now, a lot of kids are the kids of divorce. I understand that. But they still have a support structure of a mother and a father. So that's, it's the biggest lie ever perpetrated on Americans, especially, is that women should be in the male workplace. It'll only make it better, and everyone would be happier because of it. All of that is BS, my friends. All right, don't go anywhere. Back in a minute. It's the Anthony Cumia Show. And the other day, or was it yesterday? My goodness, so much happening in such a short period of time. But a decision was made in the Carmelo Anthony appeal. You may remember Carmelo Anthony. He murdered Austin Metcalf over a year ago. Stood trial, was found guilty, sentenced to 35 years in prison for murder. And his attorneys, he got them together and said that conviction was based on a tainted trial. And then they had to come up with all of the reasons why the trial was tainted. And then a judge is supposed to look at what the defense comes up with and go, my God, how did that get through? Or my God, how did they have somebody on the bench that was so biased? And you really have to find some problem, some real issues with a trial for somebody to grant an appeal for a new trial. It's not just we didn't like the results. That isn't usually grounds enough. So what the defense was able to achieve is getting rid of Judge Roach. Judge Roach was the original judge who sat over the original trial. And they thought this guy was either racist or biased or what have you. So they got a new judge. And the new judge has heard the information, whatever the defense said was inappropriate during the first trial. Some new evidence that made its way into the courtroom. And he decided, no, you will not get a new trial. So they got rid of the first judge, and they got a new judge, Judge Michael Chitty. Chitty? Yeah, see, that's it. That was, when you ask what decision it was a Chitty decision. He decided, that's how some people would anyway. He decided not to grant another trial. They did not come up with a good enough reason that the first trial should be thrown out. And when they thought it was a win when Judge Roach was recused and Judge Chitty was brought in, the way I see it, I think Judge Roach would have been more apt to go with an appeal, because he would be saying, all right, it would look self-serving if I just say, no, that trial was perfect. I was the judge. Everything was great. I know my courtroom. He probably wouldn't have granted an appeal, but you would think a judge would be more apt to not want to come off like they're perfect and go, yeah, I made a few errors. A totally different judge, this Michael Chitty guy, he is not going to overturn another judge. They rarely do that. A judge is he really has to think about what he's going to do if he's going to overturn another judge's trial and grant another trial on appeal. So that was that. He's back in the slam for his 35 years. His lawyers had a comment or two. Let's see what they said. Statement from Carmelo's legal team. Judge Michael Chitty has denied Carmelo Anthony's motion for a new trial. The ruling is disappointing, but it's not the end of Carmelo's fight. His fight for justice. He's the murderer, by the way. Every time you hear justice for Carmelo and we got to fight for Carmelo and free Carmelo, he's the murderer. He's the guy that killed Austin Metcalf, who is the dead guy. It always comes up as being so backwards. His legal team will continue to pursue every available legal remedy and seek meaningful review of the substantial issues raised in the case. What issues? Their whole take, the defense's take on this whole thing was, well, not enough people were allowed to see the trial. It wasn't televised. It's a small courtroom. They allowed people to come in, but the defense said because it wasn't enough people watching, because it's a right to a public trial, that somehow affected the outcome. Not a good one. Not a good one. The judge, after the trial, saying, I think the jury got it right, and saying that the prosecution did a good job. He thanked the prosecution and the state for their work after the trial. And they said, well, that right there says that he's racist and prejudiced against our client and biased against our client. No such. That has nothing to do with the trial. It's not a reason for an appeal. And then the only thing that really did come out that was new was the fact that Carmelo Anthony had broken up with his girlfriend. His girlfriend broke up with him that day, the day of the murder, and he was following her around, threatening her, sending her threatening texts, saying that he's going to stab someone and lick the blood off his knife. This is so damaging. And this information wasn't given during the first trial because the defense and the prosecution had a handshake agreement that they weren't going to bring character issues, whether it's against Carmelo Anthony or Austin Metcalf, into the courtroom. The Austin Metcalf stuff was that when he was 10, he spray painted some racial slurs on a wall and was reprimanded, him and his brother. Not quite as relevant to the case as the guy that murdered the kid, saying that he's going to stab someone because he's all worked up that his girlfriend broke up with him. If there was another trial and that came in, I think he'd be looking at more than 35 years in prison. So he should count his blessings and enjoy his 35 years in prison for the murder of Austin Metcalf. We have a comment from James Tallarico. We'll play that after the break because it's just as ridiculous as his trans kid statement. Back in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, scrolling through X, and apparently former NBA player Enes Kanter was at the WNBA game, one of the WNBA games tonight, and he was wearing a shirt that it said woman, noun, and adult human, female. It's like a pro-trans shirt because he's saying, you know, he wants to join the WNBA as a trans woman. And one of the people on Chicago, whatever Chicago's team is in the WNBA, believe me, I don't feel bad that I don't know everything about the WNBA, but she got really angry and started running toward him a little bit, but he was thrown out of the arena. Thrown out. The only thing anyone cares about when it comes to the WNBA is the controversy, the hilarious conflicts and whatnot. No one is watching WNBA for the basketball. Oh, my God, they're so good. I love seeing such talent out on the court. That is not why people are watching this. It's to see what cluster F is going to pop off next. Who's going to hit who? Who's going to call someone something racist? And what giant former NBA guy is going to say he's going to come in as a transgender female? They really did paint themselves into a corner here. They really didn't play this out. The WNBA didn't play this out and see where it could lead when they refused to say or answer the question when asked, what is a woman? Any of the people involved in the WNBA, many, the vast majority, will not answer that question. And they say, well, no, it's whoever believes they are a woman, identifies as a woman. And then when you get a couple of basketball players that said, yeah, cool, I'm a woman. When do I get signed up? And they go, well, that would be an end to the WNBA. That's it. It's over. Now they're trying to figure out what to do. They had a whole conference amongst themselves to try to figure out what to say when they are asked how to define a woman. And after the conference, they still didn't have an answer. They want to play both sides. They want to be able to say, well, a woman is whoever feels like a woman. A man that decides he's become a woman is just as much a woman as a woman that was born with female genitalia. And yeah, sure, you want to play by those rules? Go ahead. Now you have to deal with a giant man who would devastate the entire league if he were to get out on that court and play. They show him in this video I'm looking at and a couple of photos online before he got kicked out. He spreads his arms apart. It's like an entire row of seats. This guy's wingspan is like a one of those a dodo bird, if I may look at prehistoric animals. He's giant. This would be hilarious watching him play against the women. And they screwed up. They went with this, they ran with it, and now they don't know what to do. If he considers himself a woman, who are they to say? Everything they've been preaching has been anyone that feels like a woman, that's the definition of a woman. So I'd love to see it. That would be fun to watch. A guy out there just trouncing all over everyone. He wouldn't even have to shoot the ball. He'd just dribble, walk up to the basket, and pop it right in as they're trying to do their layups, as they're just throwing brick after brick, trying to do their fancy layups. Oh, boy. You broads make me laugh sometimes, eh? Got another clip from James Tallarico here. Before the break, I was talking about the Carmelo Anthony situation. He was denied another trial. He appealed the first one, and the judge said, nope, you haven't shown me anything that would lead me to believe your first trial had any kind of misconduct to the point where we would have to do it again. So that's that. But James Tallarico, again, like I said, he doesn't know who he is. He's just pumped full of, well, he's pumped full of his opinions, his ideology. Everything is from someone else, some other entity, a group of people like gays, transgender people. He just says what he feels he needs to say to get votes from the liberal left. So when it's a trans issue, he'll say, oh, my God, family, and I can't talk about family or friends, then I'm going to say trans. And when it's an issue like the Carmelo Anthony trial and why Carmelo Anthony was found guilty, there are lawyers, professors, people that pay attention to cases and the courts that know exactly why Carmelo Anthony was found guilty of murder, because he murdered someone. This wasn't a self-defense case. He at no point was in imminent danger of losing his life. And every juror in that jury box, hearing the testimony and seeing the evidence, agreed that if they were sitting there under that tent and Austin Metcalf came up and said, what are you doing here? The exact same thing transpired. They would not have felt compelled to stab that person in the heart and kill them because they felt that they were in imminent danger of dying. So he was found guilty for that reason. There was nothing that proved self-defense. There was nothing that proved that Austin Metcalf was doing anything that could have possibly endangered Carmelo Anthony's life or the other people under the tent. As a matter of fact, the other people under the tent testified as to how there wasn't a conflict that escalated to the point where physical violence at all would have had to been used. But James Tallarico, in his never-ending search for votes from gays, transgender, the black community, whatever it is, he had a different take on what happened. AC5, here he is on the Breakfast Club show, which is a black talk show, black podcast. Here's James.
Of Texas, we see what happened with Carmelo Anthony, and you said it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the State House on justice reform, and right now we've got a system that doesn't serve all Americans equally, and we know that black Texans have been have not gotten the justice they deserve.
When?
In many cases. And, you know, I'm not an expert on this particular case, but I know that there were no black members of the jury. And to me, that's the only evidence you need to really prove that this system is not working for black Texans.
That's the only evidence you need to say that the system isn't working, that there weren't any black jurors. There were minority jurors. There were American Indian jurors. There were Hispanic jurors. It's Texas. You're going to get a lot of Hispanic jurors on a jury in any court in Texas, but no black jurors, and that's all you need, which is so insulting to the civil rights movement, to black people, to white people. It's insulting because you are saying that skin color in and of itself does matter. It does matter. We're all the same under the skin. We all have the same issues and problems. We all have the same instincts and basic, as Americans, we have basic morality that we live by. But you're saying now that if people were in that jury box that were no different than anyone else besides the color of their skin, that there may have been a different decision, and that would have been the system working, because the system didn't work without black jurors. They are, amongst liberals, the most racist people you will find in this country are liberals. They say stuff like this and think they're kowtowing to the black community. They think they're praising black people. They're trying to get black people's votes. But how do you say something like that and not know that it is unbelievably racist and insulting to everybody? You have set back civil rights by 80 years. Everything that was said by civil rights leaders like the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you went against everything he had said and wanted everyone in this country, black and white, to live by. Judged by the content of our character, not by the color of our skin. And he's saying, if I look at a jury and look at their skin color, I can tell you whether the system is broken or not based on the color of the people's skin in the jury box. James Tallarico, people. And people will vote for him. I don't know what kind of chance he has of winning down there in Texas. I don't think he does. But the fact that he is the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate out of Texas, I don't know. He seems pretty racist. He seems pretty racist and stupid to me. The gall, the nerve, the audacity. All right, back in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show, and go to the phones real quick. Who is this? Silas? That ain't Staten Island? Silas?
Silas, yeah.
Cyrus. No, Silas.
Yeah.
Oh, Silas. All right.
Yeah.
Staten Island?
So, yeah, our enemies have had a good 50 years to figure out how to attack America, and it's with dumbing down the population. And they're doing a bang-up job of it.
Certainly are.
And with the education. And I've also seen how the Democrat Party seems to elevate the very stupid. Now, you look at all of the Democrats who are holding office now. Can you find me one? And especially with black, but, you can't say that, you're racist. But name me a black in office that's, a Mensa person, a real genius. Certainly not Karen Bass.
Well, it seems, Silas, it seems the Democrats love checking off boxes. So they don't care if it's a black candidate who is competent, well-spoken, well-read, well-educated. They just want anyone in there. And the people they choose to run for these offices are dimwits. They really don't come off like, and they also don't come off like they're open to debate. Like, well, maybe I can, maybe I could be open-minded about this or that or the other thing. They have an agenda. It is written in stone and will never be changed. And that's who you're dealing with when you deal with the Democrats.
And with all of them, I mean, look at Gavin Newsom. Now, there's a real genius for you.
Oh, but he's handsome. But he's handsome. The girls love him.
And look, him and Kamala hold the record for just talking nonsense when you ask him a question. You know, if you ask him his name, he'll go, well, you know, and now specifically what we're talking about, I said, no, I asked you your name. Oh, but we got to go to it's actually a certain type of thing that we are.
Right.
Did you see what he's doing now with the tires?
Yes.
Bill, where you got to change. They fall for all of this.
They're going to require all Californians to use a certain type of environmentally friendly eco tire, which has to be some kind of liberal nonsense that these tires will do.
For producing that tire.
Yeah, of course. This money, the money that is trading hands because of this. California is, I mean, please, just make it a country of its own and have it leave us alone as a nation.
Yeah.
New York, too, by the way.
No, I think if we could just get enough people to see it and realize it, because we would be light years ahead if we could just get rid of these Democrats.
Yep. Thank you, Silas. Appreciate the call. Yeah, that's we're stuck with this. It's like the Democrats turned into something like out of a monster movie. They're like zombies or the brain dead or some type of sci-fi monster that they've turned into, and the people are voting for them. They get into office and they want to do things that are so counterintuitive, counterproductive to this country. And they proudly say that this is what they want to do. We want kids to have pornography in their classrooms. We want them to go see men shaking their hairy asses in their faces. We want them to go to parades where nude men are simulating, if maybe not simulating, sex in the street. And we want kids to watch all of that. And then if you say anything about that, you're the problem. You're the ist or the phobe or something that is intolerant. You know, and that's how they get you. Well, you're intolerant. All right, let me see if I could tolerate this. What is it? What am I supposed to tolerate? Well, two men should be able to walk down the street hand in hand to, show their love for each other. That would be tolerance if they could do that without being beaten or having slurs thrown at them. And we all went, all right, okay, deal. We'll let gay guys walk down the street holding hands and no one will throw anything at them. And then, you want to call it slippery slope. You want to call them, give them an inch, they take a mile. Fast forward, not very long, and they want children seeing nude men simulating sex on a parade float. Oh, that's what I was supposed to tolerate? And tolerance just means that, by the way, to tolerate. Doesn't mean love it. Doesn't mean celebrate it. Doesn't mean you're waving flags. You're tolerating it. But they see it as now, because you said you'd tolerate this gay couple showing affection in public, that you have to now be on board with every insane, disgusting, degenerate idea that they could come up with. No. How about no? Is that a good enough answer? And, again, the Democrat politicians, because that's kind of what we were talking about, they're on board with all of it. They are on board with all of it. This is great. This is I can't get enough of Nancy Grace being back in the news. There have been some legal wranglings and cases where Nancy Grace's expertise are so needed. And I see that dumb head still wearing the Friends haircut, whatever that is. The Rachel. She still has the Rachel. And she she's talking about the Nolan Wells case a lot these days. This is, if you ask me, this case is done. This is a done. It's not even a case. Technically, it didn't go to court, but the investigation, it, it's going on. It's ongoing. Benjamin Crump is still squeezing a few pennies out of it, so it still goes on. But bottom line is, it's tragic. Nolan Wells, a young black kid, was out on a boat with his white friends. It's ridiculous we even have to put those racial identities in front of it, but that's what they want. And he didn't come back. Nolan Wells did not return. The white kids went back on the boat. There's timelines to everything. There's the phone. There's the boat. There's evidence. There's witnesses. I mean, everything indicates that Nolan Wells drowned, tragically drowned, drunk or high, whatever it is, 4th of July on a boat. This happens so often. But, they're still trying to make it a murder. They want it to be a racial murder where the white friends all colluded together to get rid of this terrible black friend that they had. It's really ridiculous. So this is Nancy Grace with an over-the-top, again, take on the Nolan Wells case. AC6.
A Nolan Wells phone evidence torpedo.
A torpedo!
Witnesses that saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. The Triton, as you said, left around 4:30.
What witnesses? Where? Who, what, where, why, and when? Tonight, the Nolan Wells investigation into the death of a shining star, Nolan Wells, has an altercation witness emerged. A witness that claims she saw an altercation at Horn Island.
All right. That is fantastic. A witness who saw an altercation on Horn Island. Not an altercation between Nolan Wells and anyone else. Not an altercation where Nolan Wells was even in the area. A witness saw an altercation on Horn Island. Yeah. And that's the torpedo. She loves using a bombshell in the investigation. A torpedo. A hand grenade. Holy Jesus. She is out of control, and I can't get enough. Back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and let's go to Benny here. Benny in Bayside, Queens.
Hey,
how you doing, Benny?
I got a few comments. As far as the WNBA letting these trans guys in, who is not going to watch that?
Oh.
Some guy getting 50, 60 points a game, slamming on these girls. Boom,
it would be hilarious.
My house now.
It would be hilarious.
The coach would be like, timeout, and they had that clipboard with the court on it. So listen, you stand here and then give him the ball.
Yeah.
You stand here and pretend like you're playing defense and then give him the ball or something like that.
They wouldn't allow betting on it either. They wouldn't allow you to go on your phone and bet on any of those games because it would just be a given as to who's getting the most points, who's winning the game.
Right. But if every team is only allowed to get one of them, let's say, and then they would have to do a whole two different drafts, let's say, one for the females and one just for the trans, and you can only get one of them.
How about 2 for 1? You could trade two of your female players for one transgender female player. Yeah.
Another thing I want to say with the Board of Ed, a New York City Board of Ed spends $77,000 a year on a student. I actually did the math. If you have a student from K to 12th grade, 13 years. That student, after 12 years, after the 13 years rather, has $2.1 million at 3% compounded. You spent $2.1 million it comes to. Well, what I did was after 4 years, I raised it from 75 to 80. And then in 8th grade, it goes from 80 to 85, which was, I did it very conservatively.
Right,
and I came up with $2.1 million.
Ooh, and they're not even able to read. They can't do the most basic of elementary school math and English, and that much money is being spent on educating them.
I don't understand this disservice. I mean, the kid failed math, sequential math 1. Let's put him in sequential math 2. Really? Yeah. It's not going to make sense. I worked for the Board of Ed for 12 years up until 2003, and then I got an engineer's license. I worked for a Catholic school up in the Bronx.
Uh-huh.
I was dumbfounded for about 2 weeks. These kids are like, "Oh, good morning, Mr. D." I'm like, "What'd you say to me?" Like,
right, you're so
really
defensive.
I would walk into these rooms after the day was done. I'm like, there was nobody in this room today.
Right.
The rooms were clean as can be. I mean, just straightened up. Night and day, where these kids are actually getting an education. Where in the Board of Ed, it really just turned into teachers that really wanted to teach. They were just like, I'm teaching the textbook and getting my paycheck and getting my tier 1, pension, and I'm out of here.
That's it.
And it's exactly what the Board of Ed turned into. It was just a real shame. It was disgusting to see, I got to say.
Yep, I agree.
Damn it, I had the song tuned up for you and everything. Here we go. Forget it. I was going to play Pantera from Van Halen.
I got you. All right. Well, I appreciate the effort, Penny, but I got to move on. He's playing sounds. He's playing songs. Yeah, it's, the Board of Education. Anytime Trump had spoken about getting rid of the Board of Education, or anytime a locally elected official talks about the Board of Education in a bad way, they get crapped on. People are like, oh, what? They think the Board of Education is some amazing entity that educates the children. They don't. It is a bureaucracy that sucks up so much money and puts nothing out in return. And, we have a country full of young people at this point, not just students in elementary school and high school and even college, but young people that have been through this system that doesn't work, and they're lost out there. Imagine not being able to do the simplest of math. I've seen it. I've seen people, they're working at as a cashier somewhere, and they have no idea how money works, what the amount is of what does a quarter equal as far as a dollar goes, how many quarters in a dollar, how many dimes in 50 cents. No clue. That is stuff you learned unbelievably early on as a kid when I was growing up. You wanted to learn things like that, and you needed it. And the teachers, the educators knew you needed that information, and that's what they taught you. And there was some dummies. We remember fondly some of the dummies in class, and everyone would kind of laugh at them. All right, it's your turn to read. And he'd be babbling and stuttering and mispronouncing words. No, now, don't laugh. Be nice. Like, oh, yeah, this kid's going to be a laborer on a job site somewhere. But it is what it is. But now every single kid is coming out of the schools. They're coming out stunad. I don't know. More money, maybe. More money. Maybe a few million isn't enough. Oh, boy. Gary, Indiana's in a bit of a jam. Indiana has had some storms in the Gary, Indiana area. Actually, in the entire area of Indiana. But for some reason, Gary is having a particular problem with getting their power back on. It's been almost 2 weeks for a lot of people in Gary, Indiana. And people want answers, You don't have power for a couple of weeks? What's the power company doing? What are our local officials doing? The mayor, the city council, all the people that are supposed to, we pay them to keep the lights on, as they say. And we're not really getting what we pay for in taxes. If you're in the lovely Gary, Indiana, I haven't been to Gary, Indiana. I see videos, I see photos. It don't look like that place they sang about in what was that? What Broadway show was that? The Music Man? Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. Little different these days. Little different. So they're having a problem getting power back. And you wonder what the NIPSCO is doing. NIPSCO's the power company over there in Indiana. And, well, here's a report. This is AC8. A little report on what NIPSCO workers are dealing with, trying to get that power back on for the citizens of Gary, Indiana. Let's listen. AC8? Gary, Indiana? Oh, boy.
NIPSCO is suspending power restoration work in Gary after one of its crews was shot at overnight. No one was hurt. Video, though, posted on social media shows windows of the truck shot out. It's unclear if NIPSCO workers were targeted. Gary Police and Indiana State Police are working to provide additional security for crews.
So let's say you're NIPSCO and you handle a few states, actually. Not just Indiana, certainly not just Gary, Indiana. And a lot of these states have been affected by storms, and they need workers to go in and linemen to get in there and rewire the place. Trees have been falling. They got to get those out of the way and get the electric back on. Now, let's say your NIPSCO crew goes to Gary, Indiana, and is shot at. Shot at. Do you think Gary, Indiana is going to be your top priority? Let's get those trucks into Gary and get that power back on. Or do you think maybe you're going to, I don't know, start getting your crews into other areas that are affected and get their power on first? Maybe NIPSCO isn't as horrible and racist as they're being called, because they don't want to go and work where they're being shot at. I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them for that. Another thing, Gary, Indiana has been a very, very predominantly black city for many, many years now. As a matter of fact, the mayor is a black gentleman, Eddie Melton. He's the mayor. The entire city council of Gary is made up of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 black women and 5 black men. Yeah, they're the city council. And I'm looking here at the power company's president and chief executive officer, Lloyd Yates. He is a black gentleman. Executive vice president and group president of utilities, Melody Birmingham, a black woman. And executive vice president, chief operating officer and safety officer, William Jefferson, a black gentleman. How is the power company racist? All of their upper echelon executives are black. The entire city council of Gary, Indiana is black, working under a black mayor. There are some people in Gary who have shot at the power company trying to fix their power outages. And everyone talking about this out of Gary, Indiana, is bringing up why. Why does a black community not have power? This has to be race. This has to be a racist, systemically racist America. You know, I've seen, and they bring up instances where their power was out in other areas that were predominantly white or just not predominantly black. And they go, their power was on. Why isn't our power on? And again, race has to be the reason. Because if you come up with another reason, some people might not like it. When you say, well, perhaps if you didn't shoot at the power company, your power would be back on. And if you want to have to blame someone, either the power company or your local government, they're all comprised of black people. So I don't know, Gary. Indiana. You may have a bit of a problem convincing the people that this is because of race instead of, you're shooting at the power company, and maybe the people at the power company and your local government aren't doing the jobs they need to be doing to get the lights back on. Security, that's a big thing, I guess. I guess the power company wants to be assured that their linemen are going to live through the night when they're doing the repairs. So maybe more police, maybe arresting people that are firing guns in your fair city. I don't know. But I guess it's just easier and much more convenient to blame it on systemic racism that is in this country. Such a shame. That's a shame. Let's see. Greg. Greg. What's up, Greg? Greg was a fence rider. He wants to ride the fence and say both sides are the problem. Greg, what's up?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Mr. Positive. Boom, shakalaka. Everybody go for your dreams. I got to ask you,
yes.
Do you think that the extreme and the fringe elements in each party, if you will,
right?
There are both sides that are a little bit extreme. Do they possibly define, going forward, the political parties, the Democrat and the Republicans? And how do we offset, what's happening, like, for instance, in Michigan with El Sayed, DSA? Me and my buddy Chris Cuomo, we talk about this a little bit, and we try to figure this out because we want to bring unity to the nation.
Well, of course.
And I think it's just something that, what do you think, Anthony?
Well, Greg, what I think is, and, being a Republican, I am a registered Republican. I consider myself more of a conservative, obviously, than any form of liberal.
Okay.
But I can still look at both sides and hash out what they're about. I see the left extremists as unbelievably insane, like quite literally insane. And their ideology and what they stand for and what they want for this country is so mad that if the country went in that direction, we would not have an America anymore. On the right, the Republican side, those extremists, I look at that and go, yeah, it's not crazy. It's policies and ideologies that, of course, aren't on the outset. You look at it and go, yeah, it's not very reasonable. It's not something that I think a lot of people would get behind, but it's not literally insane. You see what I'm saying there, Greg?
Yeah, but I got to ask you real quick, why do you think the left is understanding, the philosophical understandings and underpinnings of socialism and communism, if you will, to a certain extent? Yes, we do live in a mixed economy, a mixed market, but why are we driven towards that way? Because I feel that Trump got elected 10 years ago, arguably, because the white man felt ostracized. The older white man felt ostracized.
I see that.
And he was catering to them. So why is it, going forward, why do the young people or people in general that believe in this DSA, why do you think they're going towards that? Or what are we missing? Or do the young people feel left out?
I mean, what's the option for them? What they've seen over the past 10 years of Joe Biden, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, they're willing to grab anything. And these young, energetic Democrat socialists like Mamdani and company, they're very easily influenced by TikTok videos and social media more so than the right. And I think it's yet another desperate grab at something by the left because they don't like what the right does when they're in power.
Sounds great. Hey, thank you very much for taking my call. Everybody go for your dreams. No, thank you.
Go for your dreams. There you go. Go for your dreams. Words of wisdom. Go for your dreams. A little hard these days to go for those dreams. Everyone's very busy, multiple jobs. You know, you got a lot of governmental red tape in your way. You know, people's dreams used to be you have an idea, you're able to come up with a little capital and make that idea come to fruition, and you are an entrepreneur. You have a business. You have a dream, the American dream. Now, there's so much corruption and everything. Everyone's got their hands in your pocket. You can't possibly, there are regulations and red tape. And, the American dream is something very, very difficult to attain these days. I just want the government to maybe leave us alone a little more. And I think the right is more apt to do that, at least the classic right, than the left is. Okay, don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show, and we got Tom on the phone. Tom wants to retort our previous caller, Greg. Tom, Pennsylvania, what's up, man? Oi!
How you doing, sir?
Good.
All right. Well, so that individual, I think, is a little bit myth about the fact that we can't, as someone center-right, go out in public. I can't wear a MAGA hat in public.
Right.
Because they'll slash my tires.
True.
And or they'll kick my dog, and or they'll steal the gold necklace off my dog.
Yep.
Okay? So I've done none of those things. I don't mess with anyone. I'm a nice guy. I work. I'm a software salesman. It is what it is. But they are out of their minds.
Yeah. Yeah, I want more people to know that. It doesn't seem like people realize, not where you call, oh, that guy's crazy. Look at him. He's nuts. He's got literally crazy. I don't see anything in the left and these people on the left that lead me to believe they are sane people. They have mental problems. And to think it's that big a population, a portion of this country that is mentally ill is a little disturbing there, Tom.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel bad for them. I'm Catholic, and it's a shame that they can't just live a normal life.
No, they're the most miserable people you'll ever run across, too. They're never happy. Even if they think they're getting what they've been, fighting for, it's never enough. It's not because they think things will make them happy if it goes their way, but they don't realize the unhappiness is in themselves. They are unhappy. They're miserable being who they are. So no matter how many things they think are getting fixed that are supposed to make their lives better as whatever marginalized group they want to belong to, it's still themselves. The old saying, no matter where you go, there you are. It doesn't matter. You're still you, and you're still miserable.
Well, for example, just basic stuff like Gavin does this thing about the butt boys on planes, simple civics, I hold doors for people. I say, please, thank you, you're welcome. And then you get this look from people like, what those words, I've never heard that before.
Right. Common courtesy.
Common courtesy is a lost art.
Yep.
Like, are these people, were they raised in a barn or something? Like, what is going on here?
I don't know. I think, again, they're miserable people. They look at everyone as an enemy, especially people that are normal in society. And I use the word normal because they're abnormal. So if you see someone that doesn't have the nose ring or the blue hair or whatever other thing they're using to identify each other, why would you hold the door for them? They're the piece of garbage making your life a living hell. So why they don't give courtesy?
The online meme of, poisonous apples have bright colors. So, like the blue hair and the pink hair and all that.
Yeah. It's and it's so stupid. It's like you're trying to be an individual by dressing up exactly like everyone else who thinks exactly like you, and you think exactly like them. It is sad. You're right. I have a hard time these days trying to garner up any empathy and be sympathetic to them because they are mentally ill, and it is sad. But there are times I'm just like, oh, God, that is really pathetic and sad.
Lastly, Anthony,
yes,
great book. It's called Carnage and Culture by Victor Davis Hanson. Give it a read.
All right, buddy. Take it easy, man. There you go. A little book plug for you. My goodness. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's the insane people against the kind of insane people, but not real life insane. Hey, liberals, what are they doing now? They're preparing to skip work for a month. They're going to skip out on work for like a month straight and not pay anything. And this is going to show us, I think. I don't know what it's supposed to show us. When you think of liberals and people that are constantly preaching about transphobia, homophobia, racism, these are the people you don't want going to work on a daily basis. First of all, most of them don't go to work. They're on some type of assisted living and welfare. But let's listen to this. Maybe she has a point. AC7.
Well, when I said get out of America, folks, are you starting to believe me now? Wouldn't y'all like to just make history? And just millions of people just don't go to work for the next month, stack up on food, and only pay your light and water bill, and just not pay your rent, your mortgage, your car note, nothing. A whole month. It's like I'm good. I got food to eat in the house. Ain't got nowhere to be. Wouldn't that be great? We could shut this whole down overnight. Y'all not ready for that yet? Y'all still delusional about it? You still think this isn't your fight? You still think that things will get better, things will be okay? It's not. Look what's happening in Indiana.
Yeah, look.
Change. Your city might be next.
You're shooting at the power
Just
company.
saying. Get prepared.
Get prepared. Yeah, well, don't. I love the idea. Don't go to work. Don't pay your rent. Don't pay your car payments. And see what happens. Because I'll tell you who will be working. The banks, the car companies, the repo men, they'll still be working. And you're going to lose your stuff. So another cut your nose off to spite your face logic from the left. All right, people. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. It's Anthony Cumia on X, if you want to follow me on social media. And we do appreciate everything, your calls and your support of this very program. We will be back next Sunday, so join us then, won't you? Until then, bon voyage.
Thanks for listening to The Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear The Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?